I am very, very proud. Equinix is very, very proud to be the sponsor of this NANOG 35 Aaron 16. And my name's Jay Adelson. I'm the founder of Equinix. Thought I'd take a minute to just explain our sponsorship and maybe encourage others to do the same. This has been an incredible amount of fun. You can tell by my voice I haven't partied at all. Not at all. Normally I have a much higher voice. So first of all, a correction. You mentioned the resources, Steve. The terminal room is no longer part of the NANOG agenda. As you saw, we have the Initech office space room. For those of you who are not familiar with Office Space, I encourage you to see that movie and you'll understand everything, I assure you. Just the red staplers are not giveaways. You cannot keep the red staplers, okay? So I noticed, and I heard this at the committee meeting, a lot of, I think a lot of you would be interested in sponsoring a NANOG at some point. And a lot of work goes into it, but I think the very first thing that anyone has to deal with when sponsoring an event like this is justifying it to your boss or to your company. There's obviously an expense involved, network engineering, resources, a whole lot going on, and we'll get to the thank yous at the end of the program. But I thought I'd spend a minute explaining how you can go about justifying sponsoring an event like this. I mean, Equinix is an exchange point. We don't have a network of our own, but we obviously interact with a lot of network operators, and we get that feedback all the time. We'd like to do this sometime. So first of all, the key is converting it to dollars and understanding exactly if you can create that financial model, particularly one that goes on a graph real well, something really simple to read. It could be used very well to justify a sponsorship. So which financial model is appropriate to do that? We looked at a number of them, and then when we thought we had the primary obvious model, we searched all over the internet, we searched all over the world for a really good example to use, and something that really could be easily graphed and pinpointed. We chose RIPE. We looked for other conferences. We looked at RIPE. RIPE had a participant, TeliaSonera, and we wanted to look at their participation model and see if that converted to dollars appropriately. So here's what we found. All right, so if you go to eBay, you'll see that Peter Cohen, thanks to Steve Wilcox, by the way, I don't know, Steve, if you're out there somewhere, has put up his lanyard and his badge up on eBay for auction. And as you can see, we're now currently at £13.50, and I believe we have how much time left? We have 7 hours and 20 minutes left. So for those of you who are interested in participating, you could help increase the justification of NANOG sponsorship simply by going and bidding on this badge. Here's a close-up version. You'll notice here it says all profit will go to the, what is this, Friends of Peter Cohen Beer Fund at NANOG LA. Unfortunately, it says also only 79 people have looked at this page. Now, come on, guys. This is valuable asset. So if you could calculate the value of your name badge, and that alone has value, come on, that's a takeaway. That's something you could use to model. That's all I'm going to say about justifying sponsorship. Whoops, that's my email. Okay. You can see I'm old school. All right, so obviously in order to make this work, I mean, Equinix is, like I said, an exchange point. We have exchange points all over the world. They're places where obviously all of you meet and connect to switches and fun stuff like that. And we had to look in the LA area to find people at our Los Angeles Internet Business Exchange to participate. And we decided that since all of you probably the first thing you do when you open your laptops is analyze the network, we wanted to show off a little bit and connect to a lot of networks. And so we went out, we asked for volunteers, and we got quite a few. Namely, one I wanted to point out was Peter Cohen. And this is a quote after we provided this. "You owe me some free stuff for this, not some junky t-shirt crud. You get what you pay for. In fact, when I go to LA, I'm going to dirty up them fibers with some bubble gum that will rate your ass down a few megabits per second." Peter, we love you, buddy, but I have to pick on you. All right. So, a little bit about the logical network diagram here. The important thing to remember on this diagram is on the left side, that's the rest of the world, and on the right side, that's us. And I won't spend a great deal of time, but look towards the top. One thing you'll notice is some incredible volunteers who have provided transit. We're now getting full routing tables from Broadwing, Hurricane, Limelight, Mzima, Enlayer, Telia, Sonera, thank you, Peter, and Wiltel. So that's a lot of routing tables. Granted, you could argue, you know, is there a law of diminishing returns? But we put a router at the other end of this DS3 connecting us to the exchange point and figured, let's see what we can get. On the peering side, actually, the NANOG AS is currently peering with a number of networks as well. And if you're one of these networks or you want to add your network to this and you're into LAIBX, just contact us afterwards. But just to mention, Calren's on there, Japan Telecom, RCN, SBC, Singtel, Sony Online, Time Warner, United Layer, Yahoo, and Vianet. So please feel free to let us know how it performs. We'd love to hear your feedback. We try to also improve the wireless last mile connectivity thanks to Tony Capella and Louis Lee at Equinix for their hard work getting us there. But that's pretty much it. Again, thanks everyone for letting us be here today. We're really proud to be a sponsor.
So if you might have noticed, this is our, I think, 4th annual joint meeting or back-to-back meeting with Aaron. So I'd like to have Ray Pilzak to come up and say a few words about the Aaron meeting that's following this one.
Okay. I think we all have figured out where we're at, right? If you haven't, you may have a view like this somewhere around your hotel room or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, welcome to NANOG 35 and Aaron 16. And brief overview of what's going to go on the Aaron meeting. We'll have an open policy hour. This is your opportunity to stand up in front of a group with no notes being taken, no minutes being taken, and present an idea that you may have for a policy discussion in the future, or to ask questions about other policies that have been in place for a while and so forth. The only thing is that we're not going to discuss during this period of time, which is on Tuesday evening, is the policies that are going to be discussed at the upcoming meeting. We will have some policy discussions. I'll go into those in a moment. We have some tutorials and training. For those of you that were here yesterday, Jordy Pillay did a very nice job in the IPv6 hands-on session, and we'll have a few more tutorials later on in the week. At the last Aaron meeting, we started doing roundtables, and so this time we're doing two. One is on the future of IPv4, so by popular demand we're bringing back the Tony and Jeff show for predictions on when the world will end. And we also will, really more importantly, look at what are the policy implications going forward as V4 space starts to actually really diminish. Then we're going to look some more at directory services. You know, as we all know, who is broken one way or the other, and it has been for a long, long time. And I'm not talking about the protocol itself. I'm talking about all the information that people want to get into it and all the information they want to get out of it and so forth. And in fact, there's another discussion going on this morning about records in the Aaron Whois database and what should be there and what shouldn't be there. Upcoming two important elections, one of which is for the Aaron Board of Trustees. We've got 2 seats open, and also we've got 5 seats open for the Aaron Advisory Council. So if you are the designated member representative, you'll have an opportunity after the conclusion of the week to vote for these 2 people. We'll have 2 help desks in operation. One, which is the Registration Services Help Desk, for people to come and chat in order to make private appointments if you so desire. And we also will be running for the first time our billing help desk at the meeting as well. And of course, we always have a nice social event, and we've got one scheduled for Wednesday evening as well. So go to our website for details. Now, a couple of real quick things about Aaron. As of the end of September, We had a little over 2,300 members distributed, as you see there, between Canada, the U.S., and the Caribbean. And we've got 7 members outside the Erin region distributed in the other IR regions, as shown in the table down in the lower left. This year, and looking at the past 2 years, this is what we've been doing in allocations and assignments. You can see that 2005 is actually turning out to be a real big year for IPv4 space, and AS numbers are a little bit behind from the previous years. So stay tuned, and Leslie and Nobile will have more information about these activities later on in the week. So, policy discussions. That's one nice thing about having a combined NANOG and Erin meeting. We get to cover all 9 layers in one shape, form, or other during the course of the week. And so we have layer 9 discussions primarily in the Erin meeting, but we also have layer 9 discussions here. And we also discuss the other layers as well in both meetings, but it's a good opportunity. One thing I would like to remind you of, for those of you who were at the NANOG meeting in Seattle, I talked a little bit about internet governance and what's going on in the rest of the wonderful world with regards to governance and the UN and so forth. Your participation in the policy discussions is something that makes the current governance model work. So I know many of you are planning on staying here throughout the week, and so don't be shy in the later part of the week to get up to the microphone and speak your mind about some things. We basically are looking at 4 issue areas, if you will: allocation of V4 space, allocation of V6 space, also directory services, and then we've got some cleanup work to do in the number resource policy manual. Policy issue 1, the allocation of IPv4 address space. We have 2 policies on the table to discuss in that area. One has to do with microallocations of V4 for Anycast services, and the other one has to do with trying to rationalize the current multi-homing definition and requirement as it exists in the current policy manual. In the V6 area, one holdover from the last meeting, 2005-1. This is should people who are not service providers be able to go directly to Erin and get IPv6 address space. This started out as a relatively smaller type of a proposal, which was for dealt with multi-homing, but has since the Orlando meeting been expanded to a general discussion of providing provider-independent address space to anyone who can qualify for it, getting it directly from the registry. 2 other discussions that have to do with the distribution of IPv6 address space and the consumption rate of it has to do with the changing the HD ratio, and also amending the assignment and utilization requirement as far as counting whether we look at 48s or 56s and so forth. Both promise to be very, very good discussions. Issue 3, directory services, 2005-2 is a holdover from the last meeting, and there'll be a brief discussion on it right before we have the roundtable on directory service requirements. The directory service requirements roundtable, by the way, will have people here from the government, from Department of Homeland Security, and also from the FBI, both of which talking about what are the needs, if you will, by various agencies inside the government for information that's in the directories. And so should be a very, very interesting roundtable. Issue 4 is really a cleanup matter. For those of you that haven't heard, Afrinic was recognized at the 5th IRR in April of this year, and we had on the books a special policy that dealt with address allocations in the Erin portion of the African region. And so we just have to take this off the books, and we have to go through our formal process to do so, and that's what this one's about. So here's what they look like overall. It's going to be a rather fun week, I think. And so with that, I'll say thank you and turn it back to Steve.